There we go. Hello, everyone. Bringing you yet another training session for our weekly lives. Tonight, we're talking the 75 gems of 2023. So for those of you who are not yet acquainted with me or the 75 gems, this is a list that I curate. I work with AirDNA and a number of additional data miners to find what I perceive to be the top 75 cities with the highest profitability for short-term rentals, okay? So you can access that typically on 75gems.com. And tonight I was really excited. I wanted to debut and launch the 2023 version for you all, but there was a discrepancy. So we still have 2022 up and running, but not yet 2023, but all is well, because you know what? Not all of my properties show up, not all the cities where my properties are located show up on the 75 gems. So do not be dismayed. Do not think that you won't have an opportunity to invest because your city didn't show up. If your city doesn't show up, you're like, okay, forget it. I give up, right? Don't be that person, okay? Friends, don't let friends give up too soon. And, I just wanted to make sure to say that. All right. So before we get started and we dive in, I want to do a couple of technical checks. So mic check. Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me? And I'm looking in here now. It looks like we are unable to go live on a couple of platforms. So guys, give me a second. Okay, if you can see me, say hello in the chat. I absolutely love, and I kid you not, this is a total highlight of my life when I go live, when I'm able to share with everyone what it is that we're working on. So give me a second. Okay, that's weird. Oh, it says it's streaming. I don't know why that's streaming. But let me edit something real quick. Let's see. Okay, hopefully it works. Oh, it says we're live there too. Unable to connect. Okay, so we actually have a new internet service provider that I'm supposed to be testing out. And I'm so looking forward to it because there's like a significant delay between when we go live and when we're actually showing up. So let me do a double check. Christian, you guys know Christian by now. Christian, please let me know if you're seeing me in all the places. And I think that should do it, okay? I just added that, I think. I'm gonna turn it on and see what happens. I'm turning everything on, guys, and hope for the best. So, okay, awesome. Karen says hello. Sandy says hello. Awesome. Sandy, I missed you. I don't know if you were in class today. I apologize if you were. I was like knee deep in the data, guys. We went in and our mastermind class today. And I got to tell you, it was absolutely amazing. We're actually using a tool where we can identify whether or not our property is on page 1 or on page 15, which was the reality for one of the properties that were on in that queue. And not only identifying where the property ranked, but going a little bit deeper to ascertain, well, why is it that, the subject property, my client's property, why are they not getting booked? What are some discrepancies, all in one view, like a nice big grid to see everything in terms of the nightly rate, the minimum length of stay, the whether or not it's booked, all of it right there, all of the comps. This was this particular one was a 4-bedroom, and just to see it, just to be able to work through that SOP and troubleshoot it, is huge. You're not just beholden to whatever the market is dictating. You can actually make some moves to make some edits. And I was so excited and proud to hear the members give their own recommendations in terms of, I would reduce the rate during one particular interval by 30%, increase it by, another 10 or 20%. It's super, super exciting, super enlightening. If you're not doing this on a weekly basis, you're definitely leaving a lot of money on the table. Okay. All right. So guys, I digress. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Tonight, we're coming at you with another free training. We go live every single week here, guys. Super excited to be here tonight to share with you our 75 gems. We have been working behind the scenes. It's like top secret situation room. I love my data. Many of you know me as Rachel with the spreadsheets. There are some discrepancies still. So before it's available for public consumption, I wanted to make sure that I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. And I actually have another meeting with AirDNA to validate a few things. Okay. And we're going to talk about once you receive 75 gems for 2023, we're going to walk through exactly the same process that I want you to walk through with that particular spreadsheet. Okay. The data is sourced from AirDNA and a number of other travel agencies, not like your travel agency that's booking you, but agencies that are actually data miners for travel, whether it's compression events, strictly vacation rental market. So I'm looking at a few more things other than AirDNA because there are some gaps in the numbers with AirDNA. I continue to share that with them. They continue to make tweaks and make improvements, but not everything is where it needs to be at the moment. So with that being said, I want to dive in. I want to, hang on. I want to actually share with you some of the general reporting before we dive into 75 gems. One more thing that I wanted to relay to everyone was not all of our properties that are short-term rentals that are crushing it, not all of them show up in markets that are listed in the top 75 cities, okay? So do not think for 1 second, oh, woe is me. My property is not on the top 75 cities, so there's no way I'm going to be able to, leverage that and make any money, okay? 75 gems, guys. As much as I love it, I love to share with everyone. It is a guide. It is a guide. I'm more interested in you understanding how to read data, how to understand, profitability. I want to demystify a lot of that stuff that is out there. But ultimately, almost all the markets are good. Honestly, almost all of them are good, barring any crazy regulatory constraints. Almost all the markets are good. Okay. So for those of you who are ready to get up in arms because 75 gems didn't show your property, chill, relax. It's going to be a-okay. Not all of my properties show up on 75 gems. So all is well. Okay. All right. So before I dive right in, let me just do one check real quick with Christian. Christian, are you seeing me in all the places? Okay. Okay. I'm going to do not disturb. I just got I got a message for toilet roll holders. There's a toilet roll holder that's missing in a particular property. Okay. I'm looking, guys. Okay. Yay. Okay. I see everyone. I see you. Awesome. Hi, Natasha. So good to see you. How were you able to get that info? Okay, yep. So Natasha, that is how I was able to get that information. So I have a global access to AirDNA. I have an account manager and members of our community are using those resources as well. It's very important to access the data before we make any transactions. It's very, very important to understand what the market is, how the market is behaving historically, both historically and, determine how we can make projections moving forward. So yes, information is key. You obviously know that already. That's why you're asking such a great question. How was the information obtained? All right. So hopefully that answered your question. If not, please provide a little bit more clarification. And I am happy to get that question answered for you. All right. So Christian, I'm just waiting for your thumbs up. Okay. So Christian's waiting for just one place. Let's see. Okay. Christian, I saw your message. I'm going to try to add that in one more time. Let's see. And guys, thank you so much for bearing with me. But know that it's going to be worth it, guys, because, you know, friends don't let friends miss out. We're going all in on data. And if there's a particular, you know, market or city that you are interested in, guys, let a sister know. I am more than happy to evaluate it. Feel free. Okay. Christian, I just added that one, Christian. Hopefully it starts up soon. Just let me know. I'm just going to go ahead and get started because we're recording this, right? Yep. This meeting is being recorded. So fantastic, everyone. All right. So I want to dive in. Again, whatever questions you all have, feel free to drop them in the comments wherever you're watching. Okay. Oh, you know what, Christian, there is a landing page now. I should be going live on a landing page as well. I wonder if it works. Let me see. If it works, I want to share screen and show everyone because I'm super proud that our team was able to come up with that. All right. Oh, it works. Okay, so guys, I want to show you something real quick. Where is my Zoom? I'm going to share screens. Okay, so wanted to share this with you real quick. So for those of you who may be watching on Instagram or who may be wondering where to find the link, if you go to shorttermgems.com/luxury doctor show, this is like our live podcast version of the show. And it's very interactive, which is awesome. So yeah, take a look at that. This is the lander. And a lot of people on Instagram had been looking to join us, but the link was not working that great. So if you go into the Instagram, shorttermgems.com/links, you see that? And then it will open this particular page. And here I am. I'm here for all to see. Super stoked about this. This was like a huge enhancement for us. We were working really hard to streamline things for 2023. That was our goal. And I think we're almost there. And I'm super excited about that. Okay. So the next thing though, one cautionary thing, the next thing that we are going to add is the ability for you to chat in here. That's one thing that's missing. We do not have the ability to chat quite yet in here, but I really hope you all are able to join in whichever platform that you prefer. But this is another way to find us as well. So this is super cool that I am live in here. Wanted to share that little enhancement with you all as well. Okay. All right. So without further ado, guys, let's dive right in. How many of you who are here with me, how many of you are familiar with 75 Gems, the top 75 cities with the highest profitability for short-term rentals? Please place a 1 in the chat if you're familiar. When I say 75 Gems, how many of you are familiar? This is a report that I've been running since, I want to say 2020 or 2021. And 2022 is the one that is currently live. And then ultimately 2023 is the one that is in production and is almost ready to go live. Because since I'm Rachel with the spreadsheets, I can't put information out there, guys, that I don't feel is 100% where it needs to be. So, okay, I see a couple of ones. Hey, Matthew. Hey, Mimi. Mimi was just with us a little earlier. Mimi, how was that training on the listing optimization, listing rankings? How was that training for you? Let us know. All right, Pam, I see you. Okay, unfamiliar. Sierra, she says she is unfamiliar. Sierra, awesome. That is A-okay. So let me show you how to access it real quick. And although it's not going to be immediate, it might be like 15 minutes. or so when you get it, but I want you to have the ability to understand how to navigate it once the access is granted, okay? So let me share screens again. And while I'm doing that, so easy peasy, lemon squeezy, 75 gems, not 75 hard. Look, I was looking for 75 easy last year, but it didn't work out. So if you go 75 gems, 75gems.com, okay, once you enter that in, it's going to ask you for some information, but ultimately you're going to get, I call it a pretty ugly spreadsheet, but just high value, but you're going to get my top 75 US cities with the highest profitability for short-term rentals. So what is live right now is the 2022-2023 will be live shortly, but I will tell you a lot of times those numbers do not necessarily change too drastically unless there are some major regulatory changes. And additionally, not all of my properties that show up on 75 Gem, not all of my properties that are wildly profitable show up on 75 Gems or even show up on Airbnb's top lists, right? So yeah, I don't want you to feel as though you're going to be slighted in any type of way because your property didn't show up on the list. What's more important to me is for you to almost cannibalize it. I love the way one of our members, Tim, he has 2 properties. He cannibalized it and he used that to identify which markets, which properties he wanted to invest in. And he tweaked it, he adjusted, he added in based on his knowledge, right? And so understand that almost all markets, barring any regulatory restraints or barriers of entry, almost all markets, there's an opportunity to make something like that work. A market where I would say, there's going to be a huge challenge is a market where the seasonality is so stark. Like we have cabins in the Alexandria Bay area, not short-term rentals at all. It's like less than a 1 season location. It was more of an inheritance type of thing, but I would never, ever, ever purchase in that market because it is straight seasonality. Yeah, the seasonality is just way too much. Okay. All right. So let's see. I just got a word storm warning, guys. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, so I want to get to the list. I want to, get to the properties and all of that, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a framework of how I look at things. Okay. When I say almost all markets work, well, again, from a practicality perspective, you have to look at a few things like what's your budget, right? What's your budget? I'm like saying all markets work. Well, California, it's a much higher cost of living area. Is your budget, able to, sustain a purchase in Palm Springs? And there's a seasonality there too. Like Coachella is hot, but everything else is, there's not a lot of travel during the other parts of the year. So that's going to be, a barrier as well. Market growth is another thing that I look at. I actually traditionally loved a market where I could find properties for under 400K, then under 500K. Now I'm at under 700K, and times have changed, right? So those are some of the things that I look at. I like to leverage a 10%, down loan to acquire these properties. Not a good fit for everyone, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a tax accountant. I don't know your private situation, but those are things I look at. I like markets where I see a lot of properties are legitimately getting booked for at minimum $300 a night. Those are some of the things that I look at. I'm not just looking at the blanket ADR. That's not going to tell me anything. But those are some of the things that I look at when I'm working on doing my own underwriting as well, so those are some of the things in terms of like my actual property and market preferences, but other things that we do to accelerate accelerate our cash on cash, accelerate our gross ROI, is we use cost segregation studies where we accelerate the depreciation. We use 1031 exchanges as well. And we love tax-friendly states. We just leverage, as many advanced tax strategies as possible, working with the top tax strategists for real estate in the market. Okay, so that's really important. It's not how much money you make, it's how much you get to keep. So it's cute to make a lot of revenue with luxury short-term rentals, but when that tax bill comes in, it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's time to shut down business, right? Don't let that be you. So make sure that you're having the conversation with your tax strategist to make sure that you're positioning yourself correctly so that you're not surprised, okay? Like I was in the beginning, surprise, $60,000. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, not fun. Other things that I look at as well are whether or not the property specifically has an opportunity to create something unique. I love a good backyard. I love somewhere I can create some type of experience. I also love a newer property or property that is recently renovated. I don't want to talk about my new construction. I don't recommend it for everyone, but the reason I like a newer property that's recently renovated, the guests love it too. Like when the guests know that they're one of the first ones in your property, that's a thing. I have a waiting list for our beach house that we're constructing, and it hasn't even broken ground, but guests want to be the first. Like if you want to be first, get on this waiting list. And they love it. But from a practicality perspective too, your capital expenditures, your CapEx is going to be lower because obviously you're not going to necessarily, you shouldn't, I'm not going to say you're not, but you shouldn't have a whole lot of repairs because it's new construction or it's brand new, right? So keep that in mind. Markets where I can list the properties on multiple platforms. I really want, to be able to kind of diversify the risk that way. So those are some of the things that I look at as far as framework. I like a larger property, a 4-bedroom plus. That is, that's one of my favorites. I love to host a guest count of 10 plus. And I'm going to say it that way because you have some markets where there are restrictions. It's a 4-bedroom, but you can only host, 8 people, 2 per bedroom, right? So keep that in mind because the guest count is going to impact your ability to demand the pricing that you want to demand as well. Okay. Minimal repairs, of course, that's something that I look at because I want within the first 30 days to be able to make back the mortgage and then some, and then, this first 60 days at the latest, if it's a really, really good deal. Okay. So I just kind of listed like a laundry list of things that are in my buy list because I wanted to first warn you about, the fact that if there's a city you're interested in and it is not showing up on my 75 gems or it's not showing up somewhere, do not be dismayed. Okay. So that is my message and I am sticking to it. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right in. Christian, I have my phone on. So I'm going to go on to Messenger. Okay, awesome, Christian. I've got my phone on. I'm going to go on to Messenger. If there's anything pressing that I need to address while I'm on, please let me know. So let's see. Okay, awesome. And I want to open it and make sure. Oh, why does that keep happening? I want to be, okay, there we go. Okay, fantastic. I want to make sure that that we're live everywhere. So Christian, feel free to send me the LinkedIn link or one of these other links so that I can, I can have some visibility. It's kind of, okay, thank you, Christian. It's kind of hard to like present and not know whether or not you're still live or whether or not everyone sees you. So, okay, so guys, let's dive right in. So my name is Dr. Rachel Gainsborough. If we haven't yet met, I'm a pharmacist by training. I have been investing in short-term rentals since 2019, have had the great opportunity to host over 3,000 guests in our properties. And we not only own, but we also rent properties, and we manage properties for others. And so what that means is we own a portion of the portfolio. We're at 6 that we own. There's 4 that we rent. So that's called the arbitrage method, where you rent it and then you rent it again. So they rent it to you, you rent it to others, and we co-host. So I have a team that manages the properties for busy investors. And yeah, so all models are pretty good. They have their pros and cons, but I stand by owning. That is the absolute best. We get the biggest bang for our buck when we are owning properties, meaning you purchase the property, you furnish it, you set it up as a short-term rental, and you're renting it. It is a higher cost of entry, right? Because you have to pay for the down payment and all of that, but we leverage low down payment programs in order to get in. But yeah, by far, our properties that we own outpace all of the other properties, and the tax strategies just kind of blow everything out of the water. Okay, so I highly recommend looking at ownership and starting off there if you can swing it. Okay, all right. So the next, hang on, let's go. All right, so yeah, a little bit about us. We were casted for a Netflix TV show called Buy My House. We went on air last year, September the 2nd of 2022. And believe it or not, and you guys are probably not very familiar with this backdrop that I have here behind me, right? We actually have been recasted for another TV show. And it's a series, and I am under NDA. I cannot speak about it, but we just received word yesterday that they want to move forward with us for this show. Okay. Again, a pharmacist by training. I have no idea why all of a sudden we're like in this showbiz type of world, but yeah, super exciting. This is my husband, Jesse. He is a retired psychotherapist for he was working at Atlanta Public Schools. We have 2 boys, Ethan and Luke, and 3 doggies. And yeah, that's a little bit about us. Okay. So again, let's dive right in, guys. All right. So the report that just came out from AirDNA, we're going to start off there. They are sharing that the year-over-year change in supply and demand for short-term rentals are, reflected. So as you can see, the mid-sized cities, they have the largest supply, okay? And their demand is at about the 27.5% rate relative to the supply. So they have more supply than demand, and that is across the board. Our next market that has a significantly increased number in supply is your small cities, the rural areas. The next is the large city and suburban area. And you see the gap is a little bit closer there, which is very interesting. Then we have large cities, urban. So it shows that the supply and demand for the large city, urban area is actually, the gap is even closer here, okay? All of US, it shows still the supply is outpacing demand in the number of listings. Destination, resort, mountains, and lake. This one shows, pretty significant difference again in supply and demand by about 5%. And then the coastal destination. So there's going to be your beach, your destins. This appears to be about, I want to say 4.5 and a 5% as well. Okay. So I just love to look at this to get an understanding of what supply and demand is looking across the board. But this means nothing to you, especially if you're here with me tonight. If you're here with me tonight, you are not the typical host that just is going to set it and forget it. And I'm looking desperately for water, guys. So you're not that typical host that's going to set it and forget it, right? You're that individual who wants to learn more, who wants to do more, who will optimize your property. We have so many out there who are either managed by property managers, that some are doing a phenomenal job, but some are not doing such a great job, And so I'm not gonna lie, I love a market that has a lot of property managers. I can typically outperform, you know, those markets with the property managers because for those of you who do not know my mantra yet, how do I own and operate the fewest number of properties that generates the highest profitabilities? And I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, all you need is 1 to 2 properties to be highly profitable. Okay. You don't need 100 doors. Okay. All right. My multifamily syndicators, close your ears, please, and don't come for me. You don't need 100 doors. Okay. And I get door envy like everyone else. But if I'm super attentive to my property and I'm optimizing, I'm moving all the levers. We have 5 levers that we use to optimize our profitability. I am moving all the levers. I'm moving the mountains, guys, to make sure that my properties are profitable, to make sure that I'm repositioning my portfolio if I have to. So that's going to be really, really important. And that's not going to just happen by chance, right? So you want to be attentive to your properties. All right, hang on. All right, so now here's what I want to share with you. I want to share like about the top 10 markets that AirDNA is stating are the top 10 markets for short-term rentals. Again, I'm not telling you to go out and straight away and go and buy in these markets. What I want, Christian, if you could just send me the link, just drop the link in there for me because I'm on my phone. What I want for my profile, please. What I'm wanting is to make sure that you all understand how to look at the data, and then we're going to dive into the 75 gems spreadsheet, okay? If that's okay with you guys, I am going to jump right in. And Christian, I'm doing my best to log into the tracker. Okay, awesome. I am doing my best to log into the tracker, but I will get there. All right. Market number 1, ding, 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 ding. This is literally the number 1 market. Number 1. I'm talking like, oh, Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska. It's market number 1. Okay. And nothing against Alaska, y'all. I want to say that, nothing against Alaska, but I am not really feeling like for 2023, I want to move to, I want to live in, I want to buy in Alaska. Okay. Because here's the deal. A lot of individuals want to know where I'm investing, where everyone's investing, where's the number 1 place. If you live in Alaska, for sure, explore this market. But because it's number 1 does not mean that's the end all be all. Okay. So how is this determined? And there are some gaps in the data, and we'll cover that. So according to AirDNA, it says that Fairbanks, Alaska is known as the land of the midnight sun. It's got a high investability score and rental demand earn Fairbanks the top spot for investment in 2023. False. Already that's false. I have a problem with that information, and I am going to be meeting with AirDNA about it next week. But yeah, so all that to say, you know, just kind of take that with a grain of salt. It says visitors come to experience the natural beauty of the area, including the northern lights, the midnight sun, their nearby national parks. Filled with outdoor activities such as fishing, hiking, hunting, Fairbanks caters to those seeking true Alaskan experience. Additionally, Fairbanks is a popular spot for those visiting Alaska Honors Cruise or taking the Alaska Highway. Okay, I lost my spot. The average full-time vacation rental property in Fairbanks runs $49,000 per year with an average daily rate of $198. And according to the home value, the total home value, it's $148K. Now, is that true or is that false? That's a great question. And that's going to be really something that you want to evaluate, not just for the market as a whole. And that is my biggest problem with AirDNA. They provide you the typical home value based on not just the short-term rental homes, but the homes that are first-time home buyer homes, which sometimes are in areas that are in a banned location for STR. So very important to go, to dive deep into the regulations. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Ask for some water. Very important to dive deep into the regulations and to figure that out, because if there is a stark difference between the rates, oh my gosh, you guys are just hearing me pour my water in my cup, which is so professional. If there's a huge difference between the total home value for properties that are short-term rentals and the total home value for properties that are not short-term rentals, like in Gulf Shores, Alabama, oh my goodness. Yeah, you guys are going to be sorely disappointed, okay? But again, I want you to get used to looking at these numbers. Very important to understand these numbers. So total typical home value, any report that AirDNA provides with typical home value, you cannot take that, just take it with a grain of salt. All the other information is pretty decent, but it does require a little bit of pruning to get there, okay? Regulatory risk score is marked as 1 out of 10. The investor score, again, this takes into account my biggest bottleneck, my biggest problem is the total home value. So because of that, I cannot use the investor score. I cannot use the investability score. Okay, thank you, Luki. I got another water as well, guys. It's like water central. Okay, but I can look at the revenue growth and the rental demand. I can look at the occupancy, which I love looking at, contrary to my the data coach in our program. He's like, don't look at occupancy, but I look at occupancy. I'm all about occupancy as well. Average daily rate, not so much, but occupancy is important to me. All right, number 2, let's look at who made number 2, Evansville, Indiana. Okay, so I would love, and I can't see my chat any longer, but I would absolutely love it if you let me know whether or not you're familiar with that particular location. Evansville, Indiana, same thing, the typical home value. They're low, it looks great, but is this the reality of the situation, So this is number 2, and I'm gonna kind of fly through a few of these. We have number 3, number 4, Springfield, Illinois, number 5, Burdett, New York. So this is new to me, guys. So this is a Burdett, New York. Very, very interesting. Not too familiar with it. I'm curious to know. Okay, it's near the Finger Lakes. Oh my goodness. That's pretty darn awesome that it's near the Finger Lakes. Impressive investability score of 99.6. Yeah, if the home values are, this is kind of rural. So I wonder if this is a true reflection of the home values, but this is very interesting. That is number 5. But again, we want to dive in a little bit deeper. Williamstown, Kentucky, New Haven, Connecticut, number 7, Ellsworth, Maine, Sheboygan, Michigan. And you know what? I just went from number 9 to number 24 because what I wanted to show you, I know a lot of investors personally in Waco, Texas, and Joanna Gaines, and what she has done with her Magnolia brand. And she had created such a draw into Waco, Texas. I'm not sure. Oh, you see? Look, Market and the Silos, run by Chip and Joanna Gaines of HGTV's Fixer Upper. Yeah, so there's a lot of tourism coming to Waco because of HGTV and Chip and JoJo Gaines, okay? And so that has been an amazing market for the investors that I know who have properties there. But look at this, the regulatory risk score, guys. So the risk score is quite high. And my investors, they love it because what has happened is it has allowed the permitting to be stalled and to have a limit and a cap to it. And so those who are already in, they are set. Whereas those who are coming to the market and they are brand new, they may not get permitted. So despite the fact that the regulatory risk score is quite high, the investors who are already there, they're absolutely loving it. But to go into a market that is set up this way already, it is quite difficult. I love, being in markets that there are caps, for short-term rental permits already, especially if I'm already in there, not to be mean, but if I'm already in there, there are caps, then it provides an environment where it's going to be difficult to hit that saturation point. Okay. All right. So without further ado, go to 75gems.com. That is 75gems.com. If you're not familiar with this list, or if you have not downloaded it yet, and I want to do a quick little demo before we dive all the way in. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second because I actually want to have a look and see if there are any questions or comments at the moment. Oh, hi, Quay. Massive congratulations, Quay. I saw your post on social media. You are a beach woman now. I am super, super excited, guys. So not only do you have a farmhouse near the Catskills, now you have a beach property. Oh my goodness. So happy for you. I knew that was a goal of yours since 2022, and you've made that happen, my friend. Okay, awesome. All right, so I am looking, Christian, I'm looking to see if there are any questions. Let me know. Okay, so hi, Lynn. Lynn is asking, are we able to have a copy of the 75 Gem Cities, please? Yes. So Christian, if you provide them 75gems.com, that will be amazing. All you would have to go to is 75gems.com. Right now, we have the top 2022 list on there. There was a discrepancy on the 2023 list, but as soon as it's updated, I will send everyone a message who downloaded the 2022 to check it out because it has been updated, okay? So Lynn, I hope that answers your question. Natasha is asking specifically about Houston, Texas. What do I think about the Houston, Texas area? That's a great question, Natasha. I think I've been asked that before. Unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't know what I think about it. I would need to run some numbers, and I want to run some numbers, and I will show you exactly how I would evaluate it and how I would determine what I think about it, okay? And we can do that next. So Christian, remind me to come back to Natasha's question about Houston, Texas. All right, so those are the two questions that we have right now. I'm gonna put on some lip balm because I get so excited, guys, when I talk that. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Okay, I got my lip balm on. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen. Oh, there it is. Okay, awesome. All right, so go to 75gems.com. Once you receive the email, okay, with the top 75 cities, and check your spam, guys. Check your spam, okay? Yeah, check your spam. And I should document on there what to look for on the thank you page in terms of the subject. But yeah, check your spam. And if you don't see it, let me know. I am happy to have our team send it out, or shorttermgems.com. That is hello@shorttermgems.com. Sometimes the tech gremlins try to come for us, okay? All right, so no need to request access for the file. Just go to file up here and then go to make a copy. You see it says go to file, make a copy. And once you've made a copy, head over to the second tab, and everything that's here like on this side here is just a reflection of some directions for you. But once you have access, feel free to go to the second tab, top cities. And yeah, the first thing you're going to see are the large markets. So what is a large market? Your large markets are markets that contain greater than 1,000 listings for short-term rentals. So markets that contain greater than 1,000 listings for short-term rentals constitute your large markets. Next are your medium markets. Oh no, sorry. Your medium markets. Medium markets are those that contain 100 to 999 listings. Those are your medium markets. And then next are your small markets. Your small markets are markets that are less than 100 listings. Okay, so I want to go over that one more time. I want to take it slow because I think it's really, really important to capture these concepts because that's a bit of the foundation. And it's also going to inform your ability to quickly assess your buy box. Okay, if you say, you know what, I don't want to be in a small market because of my experience, then you know what, so be it. If a market has 12 listings and you decide that's not your jam, then that's a small market. You can determine, okay, I just don't want that to be a part of my portfolio. Say you determine I don't want it to be in a large market. I don't feel confident enough that I will be able to stand out from the crowd. It's a race to the bottom. All the properties, look categorically the same. I don't want to be in a market with 30,000 listings, but I know people who are crushing in that market as well. But you got to be strategic on the type of property, on how you're marketing it, and so on and so forth. Okay. You got to know what completely crushes in that market, so having that kind of understanding is very important. So there are pros and cons to each market, right? So what I will say is with small markets, the pro is you can probably get away with a few things in the smaller market. Say you're in, this Hibbing, Minnesota market with 10 listings, and you threw in grandma's old furniture from, Facebook marketplace, and you put it together, like my brother-in-law, he threw that together quick. Yeah, he's fine. He's doing great because there aren't a lot of options, right? Well, when you're in a larger market, the guests are going to be more select. So the smaller markets will crush if, you're not looking to go the extra mile for sure. And of course, if you're, you can create something special, something destination driven, but it's a little bit more forgiving and you will continue to get bookings if in fact, there's a great occupancy rate for that market. And yet, the number of active listings are lower than the demand. Yeah, you're going to do well in a small market. Okay. The con to a small market, though, is that a lot of the regulatory frameworks are not, available quite yet. And that's going to be in a lot of places, but especially small markets. So I see a lot of abuse of power in those markets, the, county clerk's office, or not that they're, wanting to be malicious, but they just make up stuff on a whim. So the regulations are not tried and true, whereas in the large markets, they have had regulations for the last 100 years, 200 years, maybe, so for hundreds of years or 50 years plus, their regulations are in place. So exactly where you can operate your short-term rental. And Christian, I have a great idea for a graphic, like in Gulf Shores, like and Destin and the Panhandle of the Emerald Coast, there's an interstate like that, like it splits, right? So the interstate, above the interstate is not short-term rentable, so it's like banned. So we can do like an X in the areas banned, and then underneath it's permissible. And those markets, they depend so much on travel and tourism. So they want you there, but there are parts in that market where also, the residents live there full time. So they have those lines of demarcation beautifully laid out. So it's just, it makes things a little bit easier when you're in a tried and true market. But you'll see also, look at the price points. There's a difference in price point as well, right? We see a lot of 7-figure price point in these larger markets. In the medium market, it's kind of, and this is home values. This is not the Zillow home values that AirDNA uses. This is actual short-term rental home values. Okay, short-term rental home values. I will tell you, like, for instance, Gulf Shores, Alabama, that everyone's crazy about, right? The average home price, according to AirDNA, the average home price based on Zillow is probably like 400,000 or 500,000, but it's taking into account areas that are also banned. And that's what I want you guys to understand. If you're multitasking, come back to me. I have so many people who are flying out. They say, yeah, average home price for Gulf Shores is 400,000. And then I can make 100 and how much are you making? I can make 239,000 deal. It's not 400,000. The actual home value for properties that are short-term rentable, that's a big difference, is really 1.5. Okay. So if that doesn't make sense to you, put a 2 in the chat and I will go over that and just explain it like we're 5. Okay. I'm happy to do so. All right. So once you get your report, note that the first column is clickable, which I absolutely love. And it takes the team some time to make that happen for you. So super excited to get that to get that going. And once you click on there, it will reflex or open up to the AirDNA platform where you can kind of make an assessment of that property or of that market, So again, once you open up, you click here and then it'll open to here. Okay. For some of you, you may have to log in and create a free account. Freemium is what I call it. And you will have access to some basic information. You can use the rentalizer and some other things, but you won't have access, global access like we do inside of Academy. Global access is not the most cost effective. You want to purchase that. If you're purchasing it on your own, you want to purchase it based on market. I think the market minder for 1 or 2 markets is about $40 per month, and there's not a contract or anything like that. So you can, you can discontinue whenever you want. But if it's a larger market with, over 1,000 listings, I believe it's $90 a month. The global market minder that we have inside of Academy, that's $900 a month. Okay. Because we want to see everything. We want to know everything. All right. All right. So yeah, just understand that. And just want to go over the data points with you real quick, okay, to give you a better understanding of it. So first and foremost, your first column is going to be your city. You're at the city level, then the state, okay. Then your active STR listings, number of active listings. So for instance, Hinckley, Minnesota has 11 active listings. The revenue potential, so all of the properties in that market had the potential to make, this amount of revenue. So Hinckley had the potential to make 73,000. So it takes everything into consideration. Like, for instance, the 1 bedroom trailer to, the beachfront or ski-in lodge that's 16 bedrooms, everything goes into this revenue potential. The home values, again, the home values are reflective of short-term rental home values. Okay. And as I'm saying this, I'm looking at Vermont. I'm like, hello, Vermont. Okay. I'm feeling these numbers. I love a good less than 500K home value, generating 73K. Okay. So that gives a gross ROI of about 20%. The rental demand is quite high, and I may not be looking at the same row. The rental growth is quite high as well. And the demand is, how many bookings occurred at this time last month versus how many occurred this time last year. Okay. So from now, comparing month over month, year over year, how many bookings occurred versus how many houses kind of sat empty, right? So, these numbers are looking really good, but, being the scientist that I am, I like large scale, double blind, peer reviewed, so this is 11 listings, right? So a couple of bookings can really change the numbers and have it swing one way or another. Okay. Investability score, I included here. I think it's worthwhile glancing at it, but it's not going to provide any value whatsoever if there are areas in a particular market that you cannot, rent short-term rentals. So the investability score may be meaningless, in some markets. Markets where the home values for short-term rentals does not deviate significantly from home values, for the first-time home buyer, there's not going to be a big difference. Okay. All right. Many of you have seen my exit strategies, which I love sharing with our members, because it's important to understand regulations. Everything that we're speaking about, if it is a newer market, there's gonna be some regulations that come down the pike. Okay. Everyone's trying to figure that out. The municipalities, townships, they're all boroughs, whatever, it's called in your location. They're all trying to figure it out. And so be on the lookout for that if you're looking to invest in a market that does not have ironclad regulations. And this is essentially just a framework that I go to in order to determine what the regulations are. Okay. The last thing I want to share with you guys, which I am super excited about, is the midterm rental, the STR versus MTR smackdown. So what is the short-term rental versus midterm rental smackdown? And that's happening this Thursday, guys. And you know what? I think this actually calls for me to change my background a little bit. And I want to change it in a moment. I'm not going to change it right this second, but I want to change it in a moment because I'm excited. Okay, so this Thursday, guys, will you come and see me fight? Okay, I am going to not only be fighting for my rights, I'll be fighting for your rights, because we know that with the regulatory constraints, a lot of the members in our Facebook group are asking, how do I navigate and pivot to these 30-night stays, to these 60-night stays, whether it's regulations, whether it is a time constraint. One thing that we have been leveraging from the very beginning is the midterm rental strategy as it relates to hosting displaced homeowners and those these policyholders who are in homes that are deemed inhabitable due to a fire, a flood, some type of major damage, a fallen tree, and they need a place to stay. And since our properties are larger, we're able to house these larger families, and not that a smaller property wouldn't be able to host. It just really depends on the market. If the market has a lot of competition and a lot of contracts and arrangements with the REITs, the real estate investment trust, then the possibility for the smaller properties to get booked may be diminished. But I absolutely love the real estate policyholder strategy. So good. It is so good. And the reason is that we're able to make nearly our STR revenue, okay, with this untapped market. The insurance, I'm going to whisper it, the insurance industry had over $1.06 trillion in surplus back in 2021. I believe it. We pay so much in insurance. So I believe it. And this is, the right for the homeowner to stay in a home that is similar to what they're used to when it comes to, that coverage D claim. Okay. So I am bringing the heat, guys. I'm going to be representing, for those of you in the group who have had these midterm rental stays, I am going to be sharing my side of the story. I'm going to be fighting against all of these amazing individuals who also are experts in the midterm rental realm. Now, let me put it this way. Our vacation rentals that are in the vacation rental markets, they're crushing as short-term rentals, vacation rentals, but our midterm rentals are primarily in the suburban markets. Okay. That's our experience. There are others who may experience something differently, but I just wanted to make sure to put that out there. I had to take a sip, guys. All right. So I am stepping into the ring and hosting our very first ever midterm rental versus short-term rental SmackDown. This virtual event will feature me and 6 others. Ruben is going to be my co-host as well. And just super stoked because they all have an area of expertise to share. So on the far left, we have Danny Rustine. He is the author of Optimize My B&B. He will be actually dominating and fighting for the STR side. Danny lives in short-term rentals. He has a bestseller. He's a former Airbnb employee. He's a CPA. He is a household name for many of us. And he's going to be talking about getting better nightly rates, improving your rankings, getting more bookings. And so just super excited to have him with us. Next, I will highlight Noble Crawford. Okay, that was Danny. Again, Danny is focused on STRs. Everyone else is focused on MTRs. Noble will be sharing with us something quite unique, and I am excited to bring it to you all because I don't hear anyone else talking about this vertical. Excuse me. Noble serves the university, so higher education, government contracts, military, and he has been doing so for over 6 years. He has about 40 doors where he's doing that, and it's just such an amazing and lucrative portfolio. These are 30-night stays. These are 6-month contracts, and yeah, so he's really crushing it there. Again, wanting to bring in the value. He's going to tell us a little bit about that, how to do that, and you're more than happy to connect with him. Next, I want to touch on these 2 gals, Deanna and Sarah. Deanna and Sarah are awesome. They're actually newly minted best-selling authors of the 30-Day Stay book, published by Bigger Pockets. Really excited because they are I would say they're pretty much specialists in travel nurses as well as some other verticals, but primarily travel nursing. And something I should have caveated in the very beginning, everyone thinks that, midterm rentals is just travel nursing. False, it is not midterm rental. There's so many other verticals within midterm rentals, and that is why we're having the SmackDown as well. So excited for you guys to join us at the SmackDown. Next, we have Jesse Vasquez. Now, he kind of deviated a little bit with the travel nurse, but he went off the reservation a bit. And what he does is he actually works in a business-to-business fashion with hospitals and institutions. And so he's working directly with them. He's bypassing the travel nurse. He's getting that check at the top of that funnel. And then, the travel nurse gets to stay with them, but he's able to negotiate a better rate for himself. And the travel nurse is able to still get their great salary and take all of it home. And it's just such a win-win, and I am all for a win-win. The infamous Amanda Williams. I love Amanda. She is Amanda, the traveling realtor, and she actually has a portfolio of about, I want to say she co-hosts and arbitrages a lot. Her portfolio is in the Carolinas. She focuses primarily on midterm rentals for relocation guests. And so what she has done to niche within her niche is, as a realtor, when those individuals are looking for a place to stay, as they shop neighborhoods, as they move to the area they're waiting on, whether it's, something that they bidded on, if that's the word, or they're in escrow to close, she's able to house them in her short-term rentals. And the flip side of that is when people come to stay in her MTR, and I said short-term rentals, but they're mid-term rentals. When individuals come to stay, she's able to market to them if they're looking for a home. She's their gal because she has properties in the various, we call them here villages, but it's not villages, the various, I guess, school districts that they can kind of, live like a local for a while, right? For 30 days or 60 days to assess, is this the specific school district or they want to purchase? So they have an opportunity to do that multiple times. And I just think it's such a great value add for those who are relocation. So again, her specialization is relocation midterm rentals. So guys, tell me in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you did not know that there are so many different aspects to midterm rentals. Put a 2 in the chat if you already knew all this stuff. And I'm just saying stuff that you that you didn't really need to know. So let me know. And I am looking forward to seeing that. Okay, so Christian questions, awesome. Okay, so Pam is looking for Traverse City, Michigan. Natasha is looking for Houston, Texas. Nancy is asking, what data are we using to determine the best market? So that's a great question, Nancy. I don't know if you were here in the beginning. I was on a 30-minute soapbox about it. The number one market according to AirDNA, number one is ding, 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 Fairbanks, Alaska. Okay, so this falls squarely in line. I'm going to get on the soapbox again. This falls squarely in line with my hesitation for best this or best that, right? Because I'm not going to Alaska. It's cold. I'm from the, I'm a little girl from Haiti. Okay. If it is not tropical, I'm not interested. My husband, he's the opposite. He wants to be like in the Arctic. So best is very relative, right? It's going to be relative to what is it that you're wanting to accomplish. If I say the best market to invest in is in Rosemary Beach, because you can generate, $300,000 a year to $700,000 a year in Rosemary Beach. So that's the best market. Not necessarily, again, what is your budget, right? So there are so many different, things to take into consideration. So I hope that kind of gave you a high level of where I'm what I'm going for with that. Okay. So make sure that when you're looking at your best market, and it has to be your best market, because this is very personal. You're looking at your budget. You're looking at your, what are your goals? What's in alignment with your goals? You're looking at the climate. Is this an area that you would see yourself going to at least a couple times a year? If it's an area that you absolutely hate, is it worth it to invest there? So each individual is different. You're looking at your avatar. Who is it that you want to serve in particular? Do you have a special place in your heart for bachelorette parties because, you had one and then it changed your life, or what is it? There's so many things that need to be taken into consideration. But for me, honestly, it's a few things. So my budget, I haven't seen anything good happen to markets where people are investing greater than $700,000, personally. So that's some good things happen. They could enjoy the property, but from a gross ROI perspective, the best markets to me are markets where I can get a really great property for under 700,000, you know, so you can start to determine what is best for you. Sunny, I want to be in extra sunny area. I like clear blue water, you know, so that's important to me. At least 20%, you know, annual ROI average across 5 years. But I want to hit that at least by year 3. And that includes, you know, cash, equity, as well as, you know, my tax benefits, which includes, you know, bonus depreciation, which has given us and members of our community over 100K worth of tax benefits. So for me, that's important. 10% cash on cash return at least, but on an upward, you know, projection, depending on how much I have to put down that first year. You know, those are some of the things. So I underwrite it 3-4 different ways. I like a 5 to 8 bedroom property. That for me, that's best, right? So it's not for everyone, for sure. But I would say occupancy rate greater than 50%. You've heard me speak about that before. That's important. The ability for the property to be positioned in a unique way, some type of, you know, vision that I can come up with for the property, that's really important as well. So those are some of the things. I'm kind of shooting from the hip and sharing my buy box information, but everyone's buy box, I think, is going to be different. That's, you know, so it's very, very personal. That is mine. Feel free to steal it, guys. Feel free to steal it. But those are some of the things that I'm looking at for, you know, our next investment. Okay. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. And I think, yeah, Christian's still here. Christian, hang in there with me, because I do want to get to Natasha's question as well as Pam's question. Okay. So we're looking at some specific markets. So Houston, Texas. All right. So I'm looking at Houston, Texas. So for this slice of time, it appears that the occupancy rate is 50%. And I like my occupancy rate to be 50% or higher. However, you know, sometimes I have to look at the bedroom count, take that into consideration and get there. But yeah, so that's good. I don't really look at average daily rate or revenue. I just kind of ignore those numbers, but occupancy rate is what I'm looking at. The next thing that I would look at, if I'm, you know, again, we have global access to Market Minder. We could look in Belize if we wanted to, like nationwide, right? All right, so the next thing is, okay, I'm getting weird messages everywhere, guys. I look at the market size. All right, there's 12,096 active rentals. All right, quiz time, guys, quiz time. Is this a small, medium, or large market? I'm going to see who was paying attention and who was just kind of ignoring me. Oh, okay, so Gabriella says number 2, she didn't know. Yes, 1 and 2. So Sandy says she knew some, but not the others. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's see if anyone can answer that question. So is a market with 12,000 active short-term rentals considered a small, medium, or large? Holler at me. Let me know. Okay, large. Yay! Gold star for you, Sandy. That is awesome. So it is a large market. So already you start to inform yourself. Am I a large market girl or am I not? Maybe you don't care. You like all of it, right? As long as it makes sense. So yeah, so Houston looks interesting. Okay, the next thing I actually look at, and you're kind of watching my framework, and I want to actually show you the difference. So you see 68% of listings are on Airbnb, 10% are on Vrbo, 22% on both. When I go into a market and if Vrbo is dominating, like Vrbo is like, this is your grandmother's OTA, right? Not your grandmother's, but it's the traditional. That's where the OGs list their properties on Verbo. So whenever I see that the Verbo listings or the percentage exceeds Airbnb, I get really excited. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to crush this popsicle stand, because a lot of the OGs, they love to set it and forget it. 7-night minimum, 14-night minimums is just usually a thing. Boom. Do you guys see what I'm talking about? Yeah, large. Gabrielle says large as well. So do you guys see the difference, right? Airbnb, 18%, Verbo, 37%. That's a big difference. Okay. All right. So more on Verbo than Airbnb, 45% on Verbo. All right. So let's go back to Houston. I just wanted to show you guys the difference between the two. And then the next thing is I'm just kind of looking around at other data points. Typically, I deselect the private rooms. I deselect the shared rooms from the data if I'm, going to be looking in. But just seeing all of this here does nothing for me, right? Unless I know like exactly which street that I'm looking, that the property is like this here. Like it just puts my anxiety on 10. I don't know what I'm looking at, So having an address, and if you have an address of a property that's on sale on Zillow or an actual property that you want me to take a look at, that would be great. Okay. So feel free to let Christian know, drop it in the chat. That'd be awesome. Okay. So next, rental size. So what's dominating in this 12,000 listing? About 4,000 is no, almost 40%, not 4,000. Yeah, closer to 40%. So more like 5,000 to 6,000 is 1 bedrooms. Okay. 2,500 is what would it say? 4,000, 30%. Okay. 2,500, it's 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. Okay, so the smaller unit, the 1 bedroom is dominating. There are a few studios as well. There's quite a few 5 bedrooms, but nothing near the 1 bedroom. Okay, so I keep that in mind. I don't make a judgment call based on that. I'm just gonna pocket that information for now. Okay. Rental growth. And again, what I like about AirDNA is the hover to discover. Like if you hover over some of the data, it'll provide you a little bit more clarity to see what you're looking at. So the growth, meaning the number of listings year over year. For instance, in Q2, let's do Q1 of 2021, there were 9,800. Q1 of 2022, there was 12,400. And we don't have the data for Q1 of 2023, but we're looking at 14,000 in Q4 of 2022. So Q4 of 2022 was 14,000. Q4 of 2021 was 10,000. And Q4 of 2020 was 9,000. Okay. So we see a significant, trend towards growth, but last quarter versus this quarter, there has been a reduction, okay, a 5% decrease. So that's interesting. So one thing that I didn't mention to you, when I think about my framework, when I say my buy box and my framework, I just spouted a lot of things. I would add a segment for friends and family. So if you have a friend, if you have a family member, if you have a trusted resource who is being completely honest with you, I'm not talking about a friend from a janky mastermind who's trying to show off. I'm talking about a true trusted resource, someone who would go to bat with you, and you're getting information from them that essentially lets you know that they're in a market that is untapped. You know, some of this data may go out the window from a larger global perspective. And what I mean by that is, say, you know, my cousin does short-term rentals in the outskirts of a particular area. It's like, oh my gosh, Ray, this is crushing. I say, well, let me see the numbers. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a great little market that no one's talking about, you know, and I would evaluate, I would consider, you know, investing there. So having intel, it's almost like having the inside scoop from other investors before everyone knows about it is important. But another thing I would want to see in that market is a market that has things to do. Is there like a brand new amusement park that opened, you know, there? So things to do, restaurants that are opening, you know, those are great signs as well. Okay. So I say all of this because I'm looking at it from, there's one thing to move paper around, right? But I'm looking at it from that perspective. I don't know Dallas market. I don't know it. So the fact that I see that there's a dip or a decline, you know, it appears that we've been kind of on a trajectory to increase, but I'm seeing a decline from Q2 of Q3 of 22 to Q4 of 22. Like I need to understand what that means. Are we going in a particular direction? You know, so that's something that's worth exploring for sure. But if you're in the market, if you understand the market, the dynamics, there could be a completely plausible definition for that. Okay, so if I were to invest in this market and I want to invest in this market, I would reach out to all of my Dallas friends, you know, who are in STRs and kind of have those conversations to get an understanding. Okay. And that's in addition to, of course, running my numbers, but having those actual conversations will open up things that you would never really take into consideration, which is cool. All right. So with that being said, when I look down here at the property manager kind of profile, it's very interesting. You can straight up hover here to discover. It appears that quite a few properties are being managed by property managers. But here's the deal. And people think people think that I'm hating on property managers. I don't want to hate on anyone, but y'all, except for Comfort Stays, that has only 2 reviews. But y'all, look, these are not good reviews. These are not good reviews. And I'm not trying to, you know, diss anyone or anything like that, but I'm just telling you, these are not great reviews. It is what it is. You know, these are not good reviews. The 5-star is great, but it's only based on 2 reviews. So that's interesting, but all these others, you know, no bueno. Okay. All right. So the next thing is I take a glance at the amenities, specifically the bottom 3. Okay. The bottom 3 are the ones that I'm looking at. Everything else I don't consider an amenity. However, if you're watching tonight and you're from overseas, aircon is apparently an amenity. So that's a thing. Yeah. So I take a look at the bottom 3, but you do what's right for you in your market. Some markets are very dense and there's no parking, you know, but internet, I'm not even looking at internet. If you don't have fast Wi-Fi, that's a non-starter. Okay. So I look at the bottom 3 to assess, you know, which amenities are popular. But I also want to find out which are the most sought after amenities. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much all I look at here. I will glance at the cancellation policy to see what dominates. So strict is dominating. Another thing is, oh no, you guys don't see what I'm looking at? Seriously. I'm just seeing this now. I'm sorry. Okay. I was just talking to myself, guys. Okay, so I went on a tangent for sure, but high level overview, you put in the city, Houston, Texas, you go to the overview tab, and that's going to be the first tab that is reflected. Occupancy rate is where I just kind of review. I want this to be above 50%. If we're close to 50%, or if there's a reason where this is lower than 50% that I understand, which happens from time to time in the Poconos, I'm okay with it. But occupancy rate, I want this to be over 50% on average. I ignore average daily rate. I ignore revenue. Next, I look at the rental type. I deselect the private and the shared room. Next, I look at Airbnb percentage of listings. So 68% are listed on Airbnb, 10% are listed on Vrbo. I did a quick demo here to show you some of the tried and true markets are your grandmother's market. Vrbo was here first. So have a look here. 37% is Vrbo, which outpaces the number of listings on Airbnb. I love a market where a lot of people are on Vrbo, more people are on Vrbo than Airbnb. It tells me I can just go in here and crush the living daylights out of that particular market, because they are doing the old school, old fashioned way of things. All right. So that's Destin, Florida, again, an OG. And we're back on Houston, as I was mentioning a little bit earlier. And I'm just so cringe right now, guys, that I was not sharing screen the whole time. The next thing I look at is the number of bedrooms that dominates this market. So in Dallas, the 1 bedrooms dominate. Okay. I put that in my back pocket for a while. I don't execute on that information alone. I need more information to determine my strategy. I can tell you that I'm probably not going to go with a 1 bedroom. The competition is steep there, but it's definitely in high demand as well. So take that into consideration. I look at rental growth. So rental growth is telling you how many listings are there now versus are there, last quarter. And we don't have the information for this quarter in yet, obviously, because the quarter is not over. But Q4 of 2022, there was 14,172 listings in Q4. Q3 had 14,851 listings in Q3. So that's a 5% reduction in listings for the last couple of quarters. Okay. But overall, we see a trend going upwards. There may be some kind of regulatory constraints that is contributing to that. I don't know. I don't know the market. I just hear grumblings, but I don't know the market. Okay. Property managers. This is the section where I was ranting. I was like going into the like, these aren't good. These aren't good. Okay. So 4.66, 4.51, 4.68, 4.66. These are not great property manager scores. And if you're on the call and one of these are yours, my humble apologies. I'm not trying to roast, but they're not. This one that has a 5-star review, there's only 2 reviews there, which is great. But realistically, these are not great scores. So again, I'm not trying to roast property managers, but the proof is in the pudding. It's a lot, right? It's a lot to manage. It's a lot. There's a lot of properties there. Okay. The next thing are your amenities. I focus on these bottom 3: cable, pool, hot tub. Not all our properties have cable. Our ultra luxury suites have cable, but pool and hot tub is going to be very regionally specific. In the Northeast, pool and hot tub is important. In the Southeast, pool is important, not so much the hot tub. Not very sought after at all. The market as a whole has the majority is strict cancellation policy. The minimum night stay majority is a 1 night minimum night stay. And yeah, so that's all I look at in reference to this particular market. And then I'll just take a look at the occupancy, for instance. So again, this is the global access where you're able to see a little bit more or a lot of it more. When I look at this occupancy tab and I see it's kind of circling the drain, I actually like to download, download the listings and the occupancy rate to make kind of a comparison. Okay, so the length of stay in this market, most people stay in a short-term rental for 3 days. That's the average length of stay for the market as a whole for all properties. You can definitely go in here and filter down to the bedroom count as well as the price here. The booking lead time. So most people, from the time they book the property to the time they get to the front door and enter into the property is a 32-day booking lead time, in general. And the occupancy rate over the last, I think this is our monthly, over the last month was 44%. Okay. And again, I use a calculation in order to determine whether or not this is a market that is thriving or whether or not this is a market that is undergoing, saturation. And part of that is reviewing the number of active listings. Okay, so for example, I didn't want to go this route. And I know it's getting late, guys. So if you have to go, I totally get it. I am not one that wants to bore anyone to death. So this just kind of opens into numbers, which I'm not thrilled about. Okay, but it's all good. So let's do this. I want to take the sum of all of the active listings, monthly active listings. Can we do annual? No. Okay. 1 second. So these are for all of the bedrooms. Okay, let's see. So January 2022, are these? I'm sorry, guys. Let me, I'm going to translate this to Excel because this is throwing me all the way off. But essentially, I want to see the growth in the number of listings to be similar to the growth in the amount of revenue that is being generated in the market. Okay, so this is broken down based on the bedroom count. Okay, so according to my sum here, there were, 1 second. Okay, in December of 2021, there were 4,425 one bedrooms at the end of the year in December. 2 bedrooms. Let me see if studios aren't reflected. Okay. All right, so total, there were 10,513 listings in December of 2021. And all I did was I downloaded or exported that particular sheet. And I just leveraged the sum down here and I hovered over. I don't use numbers, guys, so pardon me. I'm just kind of learning it as I go. I use Excel, or I'm kind of used to Google Sheets now, but I'm trying to get this to show. So can you guys see that in December? Down here, this is the number, 10,513. And can I like color it or something? No, that didn't do anything. Oh Lord. Okay. All good. So 10,513 in December of 2022. I want to look at December of 2021 and make a comparison. So in December of 2021, I had 7,000 935 listings. So obviously the amount of listings have grown from December of 2022 to December of 2021. But what is the change? Okay, so I had 10,513 minus, we have 7,935. That is a 20, the increase is 2578. Okay, I'm going to divide that by 7935. Okay, so the market has seen a 32.4% growth in the amount of listings in December. And I'm just comparing December, from December to December. If I'm going to put money into, put a down payment or a deposit on an actual property, I would actually do this same process that I just did for November, October, and so on and so forth, because I want to see a full picture, not just 1 month. 1 month is not enough data, but let's pretend like, we looked at all of the months and we, arrived at this 32.5%. Okay. So 32.5% of growth in the number of listings. So I'm going to jot that down. Number of listings. I wasn't prepared to do all this, guys. So my humble apologies, but we're gonna wing it. Okay. So that is the growth in the number of listings. And so let me see here. So as you can see here, I'm looking at December of 22, and this kind of corroborates it. So there's like the 1 bedrooms like 4,400, the 2 bedroom are 2,700, the 3 bedrooms are 2,300, and so on and so forth. So you can add all those up, but it's much easier to export that report. So the next thing is the rates. Okay, so I have a lot of listings, and a lot of people are thinking, whoa, there's so many listings, blah, blah, blah. There's saturation. Well, not necessarily. An increase in number of listings may mean that there is an increase in demand, right? So if the listings increase, say you're in a market, and I was consulting with a client, they're in a market, they used to charge $215 a night. But now the market has a lot of listings and it's quite saturated because they're charging $90 a night and they're still not getting booked. That's saturation. When you're, engaging or participating in this race to the bottom, and the only way you can get booked is if you like slash your prices significantly, and a lot of people are doing it. I've seen $40 a night, and it's hard, right? That's probably a market that's facing saturation. And I told them it was just based on this economic little exercise that we're doing. Okay, so the next thing, of course, is your average daily rate. We want to know, okay, that's average daily rate. Nope. I actually want to see revenue. I want to see how the market is doing as a whole. Okay, so we're going to run this bad boy again. We did December of 2022. So December of, can that be possible? That's not possible. Let's see. No, that's by room. The total market revenue. There we go. All right. All right. So what I just saw there, guys, it was like $8,000 for December. I said that's not possible because the market as a whole could not have just made $8,000, right? All right. So December overall, they made 18.2 million. Okay. In December, the whole market made 18.2 million in December of 22. December of 21, the market as a whole made 12.4 million, which is amazing. Okay. So 12.4 and 18.2. So let's do the math again. with my handy dandy. So 12.4 minus 18.2, and I did it differently, but still 5.8 is the difference. So 5.8 divided by 12 point, it's like 12.5 times 100. Okay, so there is an increase in revenue by 46.4%. Okay, so that tells us that the market has listings, overall listings had increased by 32%. However, the revenue outpaced the listings. It increased by 46%, and that is great news, right? So it tells us that the market is in high demand. I would again repeat this exercise. I would do it for like all of the months, you know, oops, all of the months, you see, for from January to December, and then I would do the same from January of 22, and then I would do the same, you know, for January to December of 21, which is awesome. So feel free to repeat this at home. And so once I complete that activity, I'm able to get a good view of what happened last year versus the year prior. And I can then move forward and identify if there's growth due to demand or if there's saturation. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. So for now, if this was the final tally, the final number, I would say yes, this is an exciting market to invest in. The growth is definitely there, but the revenue potential is definitely there as well. I would be extremely interested in moving forward with learning more about the market, learn more about the properties, you know, double checking my regulations and so on and so forth. Okay. That was a lot, guys. That was a lot. I hope that's helpful. Okay, so the next question, Christian, I'm looking on our tracker. Okay, so Natasha, I really hope that that served you. Next, we have Pam. Pam would love to see the data for Traverse City, Michigan. So let's see, Traverse City, Michigan. And I won't go through that process that I just went through because that took forever. But look, 57% occupancy rate, which is great. So 1,100 listings. So it's a large market. We have both Airbnb and Vrbo, primarily Airbnb, lots of 2 bedrooms compared to everyone else. You got some property managers. So they're here, they're in here. They are in here, friends. Not too many of the hot tub amenities and whatnot, occupancy. So in here, I am just looking for the active listings year over year. So I would compare, you know, year over year, download that, take a look at the growth, you know, like it's like a funky little hilly situation. And then revenues where I go to find the total market. So the total market in July made about 14 or 15 mil, about 14 million in July. But we see some seasonality for sure. So lots of hills. But nevertheless, that's pretty much what I would look at in terms of identifying, well, is this a market, one that is thriving, or if it's a market that's dying, looking at all the numbers. And then the next thing that I love to look at are the properties that are actually crushing it. I sometimes filter down to the size or the, you know, that my property I'm looking to invest in, maybe say I want to invest in a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, you know, so filter it down to that particular size. And then the next thing I want to ascertain is, before I even go and say, wow, this property made 500,000, this property made 454. I want to know if those numbers are true or not. And I can tell you right now, these first three, I don't think they're true. I think they're false. So I would ignore these three to start. And then I would start here and I would investigate this particular one here. I would investigate this one here. This is false. And I could tell right away because for availability over the course of 12, unless here's the one caveat. Okay. Yeah, it's still false. There are only 9 reviews. Like, okay, 9 people stayed and paid $500,000. It's like, what's happening right now? Right. So that doesn't make sense. Okay, but then there are 6 reviews here, and you can clearly see that these 2 properties are the same. I would have to do a little bit more digging to really get an understanding for that. And so that property, the little ball is going to bounce for me when I hover over it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Okay, you see that number 6 there? Yeah, it says they were available 314 days out of the year, which is great. At an occupancy rate of 43%. It says they generated $201,000, but which is 6 reviews that were in 2021 and 1 in 2022. And somebody needs to do some explaining to me why that is. So that doesn't make sense. But yeah, these are some really nifty area. This area looks super cool, like super cool. I like it. But I wouldn't trust these numbers necessarily. I would definitely I use a number of tools to kind of filter out the problem properties and just focus on the actual properties where the numbers are actually making sense. Okay. But yeah, super, super cool. Super cool. I hope that helps a little bit. I hope that provided you some value. But Pam, holler at me if you have any more questions. Judson. Hi, Judson. Welcome, welcome. Lisa. Okay, so Lisa's asking about Richmond, VA. Let's have a look. And let me know in the chat who here is joining us for the MTR Summit, the MTR versus STR Smackdown. Replays will be available, guys, so feel free to ask any questions about the Smackdown as I am looking to review this particular market. So again, I would do the same, Lisa, and work through, of course, the overview tab. I have a great view, 68%. I'm digging it. A lot of Airbnb versus Vrbo. So that tells me this is a brand spanking new market in terms of short-term rental hosting. So it doesn't necessarily have that, what do you call it? That traditional vacation. Let's see. Yeah, not necessarily the traditional vacation market. Now 1% of hot tubs. Wow. Could be an opportunity or it could be just a lack of demand. So it takes a little bit of research to get there. I want to say the booking lead time as well as the length of stay, 3 days length of stay, 35% booking lead time. Active listings, I would do the same exercise as well. So about 1,000. Let's see. What did we say the overview was? Okay, about 1,000 active listings. That looks about right. And let's look at the revenue. So the market in December of 22, the market made about, I want to say $20,000. Is that possible? Huh. No, that's the average. That's the average revenue by bedroom. That's like the average daily rate. Okay, the average daily rate overall. So scratch that. We're not looking at that. We're down here. Okay, here we go. So December of 22, the market made about $2 million as a whole. And December of 21 was about $1 million as a whole. So it doubled. It's like a 50%. You see that? Interesting. Yeah, very, very interesting. I would definitely want to look closer, look at regulations to see if it's a viable market. And then, of course, I love looking at this next step, the top properties. You know, if I'm not the top property, what am I doing? So I like to assess it. I kind of call it my compound effect framework, where I'm looking at, you know, whoever's crushing it. And I ask myself, how can I do better, go bigger and do better? They already did the work. They already laid the foundation. You know, can I rinse and repeat it around the area, or, you know, around somewhere within my budget for that particular deal? That is the question that I ask. Okay. So this property claims to have generated 200K. I'm not convinced by that. This property at 169, I feel like this is probably true. Probably true. I think this one is very true. Probably true, very true. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at all these numbers. I'm like, great, but I'm going to exclude some and I'm going to include some. And I'm just eyeballing it, but I do go into the listing to have a look to, you know, to ascertain a little bit further. Okay, so all this means is if I were to, as you can see, number 5 here, when you hover the little, you know, so you see number 5, if I were to purchase a property right next to number 5 or within the area of number 5 that is very similar and considered a comp, I can expect that I could generate this per year. That is what that means. Okay. Yeah, that's just like a raw way of doing that. All right. Oh, Gabriella says she is going to be there. Okay, so thank you guys again for being patient. I'm seeing all the stuff. Miss Cheryl's like, we can't see your screen. Ooh, cringe. Okay. All right, next is, okay, so we got, oh, Judson is saying Birmingham. Oh, Birmingham is a hot topic lately. Interesting. Okay, here we go. So Birmingham, we're going to go through the same initial process. And guys, I'm giving you a high level. We go granular. We go very granular with our underwriting and pro forma. All right. Listed as an A. Wow. I don't usually even care about the grade as much, but when I see an A, I'm like, what? 58%. Fantastic. Okay. So the next thing is Airbnb Verbo. So new to the vacation rental world for the most part. Let's see. 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms are like neck and neck, literally. We do have a few property managers there, and that's a good sign too, guys. You know, it's definitely a good sign. And I go to the occupancy, and I'm going to see the length of stay. 3 days is the average. Booking lead time is 33 days. And of course, this data is over the last 30 days. Is it past the 10th? Yeah, it's past the 10th. The last 30 days. And the next thing is occupancy, or actually the number of active listings. So this is about 1,000, a little under 1,000 active listings. And let's look at the size. Yep, 1,100 active listings. So 1,000 and 6, 7, 8, 9, about 900 or so in December of 2022. December of 2021, there was about 400 guys, 500, about 500. So almost a 50% increase in the number of listings. Okay. And so did our revenue increase by 50% as well? And don't forget, I'm just looking at one slice of time. So December of 22, the market generated, okay, about 1.9, $2 million in December of 22. It generated $2 million in December of 21. The market generated $1 million. Okay. So also a 50% increase. So the revenue increased at about the same rate as the number of listings increased. So that is that's great. That's good news as well. Okay, so let's look at the top properties. Depending on the size of the property, this 8-bedroom is the number one property in the market. They say they're generating close to $500,000. It's possible that it's true. I would have to do a little digging. When the numbers are that large, I do some more digging. My initial assessment is I think it's true, but I'm not sure. I could tell immediately if something isn't true. Okay, like this one here, this is false. This one here is false. False. Okay, so this one here, these two, this one here, I think this one's more true than this one. Let's see. Yeah, this one's not true. This one, I feel as though this one is absolutely true. Number 7. Okay, so all this to say is if I purchased a home, I get my Zillow life together, I'm buying a home off the MLS. If it's right here in this neighborhood with number 7 and it has the same types of amenities as number 7, then I can expect to make this amount of money. So don't think just because they made this and you're purchasing next to them, but if they're on a lake, if they have a boat slip, I mean, these are the things that changes the numbers. Okay. So yeah. So this is false. This is probably false. But I feel like this one's one of the most true numbers here, number 7. Okay. All the others I would have to do some more digging and I don't want to just guess, but this one's true for sure. All right. I hope that helps. Let's see. I'm trying to decide. Hi, it's Misha off of Insta. I'm so excited. Hi, it's Misha. You say I'm really trying to decide if I should go to the midterm rental conference or just take your course. I like conferences and all, but I like smaller learning. Yeah. So most likely the course where, just like I'm doing here, and I'm sharing with everyone, I am able to really go all in and do this with the members inside of the community. It's, tight knit. It's amazing. I know last week we went on for like 2 to 4 hours. It was really, really awesome to unpack and not rush through it. But the conference is $47 and it's virtual, so if you want to do that too, feel free to do it. I don't need the $47, trust me, but I don't think it's going to necessarily break the bank. All right, so the next one is hi, Inspired in Sonoma. Says, I've been managing properties for 7 years. My average rating is 4.97. Hello, that is amazing. I'm Inspired in Sonoma. You, my friend, are called a rare find because not a lot of property managers are able to maintain those high ratings. So way to go on crushing it. Good on you on crushing it because it is not an easy feat. And it really tells the story of your commitment. I was telling the members in the community, our 3 KPIs are, I call it ROAR, ROR, our revenue, occupancy, and reviews, so awesome. Super excited. Jolie, hi, Jolie. Jolie's asking, we're in Lake Stevens, Washington, and we'll list our primary home soon. I was thinking of doing an STR first, but able to do bonus depreciation. However, ALE just contacted me for an 8-month stay for a 4-bedroom. I cannot decide. LOL. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, definitely there's going to be some tax implications, but I always lead with yes, and I figure something out later. All right. I've got 2 final questions, guys, and that is all I'm able to do tonight. I actually have to inspect a space tonight for picture day tomorrow. Yeah, it's been a long couple of days. It has been a long couple of days, but I am here. When it comes to data, guys, I don't play. All right, so I am taking a peek at this particular property. So I want to, so the fact that the property on the exterior looks this way makes me very, very nervous. So the first thing that I would do is actually I would go on the maps and I want to kind of walk the neighborhood. Okay, so knowing nothing about this area, I would not invest in this particular property. And I apologize if someone's feeling a certain kind of way, like they already brought here. But if this is what it looks like at the moment, and I'm looking to curate a luxury stay, I would not be comfortable investing in this particular area. If I had my, what do you call it? My Google Earth where I can see, let me do maps, where I can see where it's located in proximity to there we go, right here, maybe. Yeah, I want to see this. So this is the subject area. Okay, the water's right there, which is kind of exciting. How far are we from the water? Yeah. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think I would invest there. Yeah, I really don't think I would. Just because it's going to be really challenging to market a luxury stay when the neighborhood looks a little bit challenged, you know? You can see me fighting for my life. I'm trying to make some lemons out of this lemonade here, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would consider this a high risk investment. Yeah, I really would. Let's see. All right, so let's take a look at some of the top properties in the market. And this kind of tells the story. It says it's a 3-bedroom. So the top markets or the top 3 bedrooms in this particular market are located. I'll show you. So if we were to go to where the subject property here is located, let me see. It's further away from the actual from where a lot of the top properties are located. So that's okay. It's here, and then say we zoom out a bit. And okay, so this one right here is actually further away. It's see, this is 19th Ave, and like we go in with a lot of granularity. So this is 22nd Ave, and this is 19th Ave over here. This is 25th Street. This is 25th Street. So this is like a block and a half away from 25th Street. And number 6 is the one that's furthest away from 25th Street. So number 6 would be a close comp to this particular property. So number 6, I would say, is probably, going to be a comp to this property, because again, you're here. Yeah, you're here and it's right here. Number 5 is actually not too far either. It would be a close comp, but the data is not conducive. The data is incorrect on number 5. Okay, it's not trustworthy. Number 6's data is trustworthy. So this one is going to be a close comp. So if the end product of the property and the way it's set up in a neighborhood, if it sort of matches this property here, I would expect you to generate potentially about 19 to 21,000 a year on this particular property. But if there's something that I don't know, feel free to let me know. All right, so next question. I hope that wasn't too brutal. Next question. Okay, we're looking at Port Boulevard. Let's see. I want to do another rentalizer. I'm going to add the address. Here we go. Last but not least, okay, so this address, according to how many bedrooms is it? Is it 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms? I wonder if we put it into Zillow, we'll find it. See here. Okay, it says 2 bathrooms. Let's see how many bedrooms. Bathrooms. Okay. It doesn't say the number of bedrooms, so I'm going to assume it's 2 bedrooms unless it's otherwise different. Okay, so let's look at the data for the overall market. 43% occupancy, so lower than I would like. I do see that there is a peak at 81%. It troughs at 19%. Not fun, but this is an area where it would be a great time to market using ads. If that is something that you're able to swing. Looking at the rental settings, most people have a strict. If you have super strict, most people have a 2-night minimum. Okay. Not a lot of pool, not a lot of hot tub, a little bit of cable. Of course, internet is important. Looking at occupancy. 4-night stays are the typical length of stay, or the average length of stay. 39 days are the booking lead time. Last month's occupancy was 25%. Okay, listings, the number of active listings. So 1,069. So just like the others, just crept into the large market zone. So if we were to compare December of 22, so this looks like about 900 or so listings, December of 22 to December of 21. So 4, 5, 6, 7, about 800 to 900. And I'm just kind of spitballing it here. So that's 100 divided by 800. So that's a 12 or 13% growth in the number of listings. And that's just in December. Remember, we would do it for all of the months to assess the entire market. So as far as the revenue, let's take a quick peek at revenue, guys. So we have a 13% increase in listings, but what is the revenue change? So December of 21, the market made, okay, I feel like I need to just download it. Okay, December of 22, the market made 3.1 million. Is that correct? Let's see. Okay, so the market made, yep, 3.2 million is what the market made in December of 22. December of 21, the market made 2.3 million. Okay, so again, 3.2 minus 2.3. So it saw an increase in revenue by $900,000 from December a year ago to December of last year. So that divided by 2.3 million. Okay, so that appears to be a 39% increase in revenue. Okay, does that sound about right? 39% increase in revenue. It looks like it for December. Let's see. So December, no, that's January, December. There. Yeah, 2.3 for houses and villas. Yep, 39% increase. And there was a 13% increase in listings. So, I mean, it looks favorable, but again, I would do it. That was one snapshot. I want to do it, month over month. So I would look at the entire January to December revenue numbers, which was 62 million overall, and compare it to the January to December revenues. So 48 million to 62 million. That's the revenue. And then compare that to the, the number of listings overall as well. The number of active listings. So I would compare that as well and look at the change. But yeah, and overall, about net 20+% increase in revenue over the number of active listings. So that seems promising for sure. I would just do a little bit more digging to make sure that it works out. And for the seasonality portion of it, where the market is showing the lower season, I would be prepared to make updates, do a lot of the capital, expenditures during that time, the work to maintain it, but also market it to get some of those bookings. Okay. Okay. So the next thing is the numbers for the top properties in the market. So this one right here, let's see the number of reviews. I'm not seeing the amount of reviews. So I would have to go into the actual listing to take a look at the number of reviews to determine, let's see. So the number one property, the number one 2-bedroom is stating they generated 34K. So I want to zoom in. There it is. I was looking for the zoom in. I think the app is like tired of me. Okay, so let's zoom in again. Wow. Okay, so for whatever reason, it's not letting me click on these. But once you click on it, feel free to take a look at the number of reviews to ascertain. Oh, I can do it this way. There we go. Okay, so this property had 30 reviews. It's managed by Vacasa. And let me see. February, September. July, April. Okay. April. So January, they didn't get any bookings. So for that particular property, I believe that, yes, they did really generate 18,000 and they do have the potential to generate 19,000. So yes, this is what I believe for this particular property over here. Yeah, I mean, if I were to buy a property right next to this property and it's being managed the same way by Vacasa, I would expect to generate 18,000 a year. So this is true information. Let's look at this one to see if it's true or false. Okay, so let's see. Look at Verbo also. Okay, already by seeing this, if you're not listing on Verbo, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. So definitely list on Verbo. December, August, July. June. Okay. At first glance, I don't believe this number is correct. But I do need to, I would have to do a little bit more assessment, but I don't believe this is correct. It may be, but I need to do a little bit more digging. Yeah, and I would just do that exercise for all of these. Ultimately, I want to see, you know, a comp of about 5 properties, whether they're the top properties in the rentalizer or properties in the overview tab that is within proximity of my property. So I'm going to deselect all of these other bedroom counts, right? So if the property, the subject property is 2 bedrooms, I'm just going to focus on 2 bedrooms and not any of the others. And say my property is here at the, oh, I'm going to move this. Say my property is here at the tip where Fort Travis is. I'm going to just go in here as close to the property as possible and ascertain, you know, how the other properties are performing and just kind of go a little bit further and further and further out to capture those 5 or 6 comps. This is what we teach inside of Academy, and we can then do our underwriting that way. And that's number 1, because, you know, we underwrite 3 different ways to make sure that we're not going to leave money on the table or operate at a loss. So it takes time, but once you know, have figured out your numbers and you've compared it year over year, you get a good picture of, you know, what your expectation would be for the revenue that you're generating. So awesome. All right. Oh, okay. Lachey is saying that the property, there's an updated property on sale. Okay. So that's really encouraging, Lachey. Okay, good. I'm grateful that the property does not look that way. I was so worried. I was like, I hate to break it to you, but this, yeah, it did look a little bit dicey. But again, information, right? If there's information in terms of, you know, that there is going to be something new in an area, you know, something more developed. You know, I know in Gulfport, we have members who have invested there. They have beautiful homes. One is building a beach house, and there's so much to do, casinos. I mean, there's definitely opportunity there. But if it's, you know, all the way inland and some of those areas are struggling a bit, I definitely wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, it takes quite a bit to go into analyzing, and I do look at a lot when it comes to my buy box, but I hope you all were inspired. I know this is like a marathon, but I just want to make sure that I was able to answer all of your data analysis questions. Data takes time, guys, but it is well worth it. All right, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye for now.